What's up guys, welcome to the Scott in the Shop YouTube channel, and today we're going to be doing an accent wall for under $100. Stay tuned to find out how. Okay, so our first step is to take off our doorstop, and then what I like to do is measure it, take a picture of the measurement so I know where it's going to end up going back at. Then we'll take our Phillips head screwdriver and we'll unscrew this. Okay, so now we're going to come in here and we're going to remove our baseboards. You want to pay attention, so you have a line here where your baseboard meets with the wall. That's where you're going to want to either put your screwdriver or crowbar and take your hammer and hammer it to pull the baseboard away from the wall. Now that we have our baseboard removed and we cleaned up our area, we're going to measure our bottom baseboard first so we know how much we need to cut. Okay, so now that we know our first measurement, we're using some 11/16 by 3.5 inch pre-primed MDF from Home Depot, and we're going to get our first cut made. Okay, so anytime that we're going to cut something, I like to use my Rafter Square so that I can make sure my line is perfectly straight. Butt it up to the bottom of the wood, it'll center itself there, and you just want to make your line. Okay, so we cut our bottom piece and it's outside ready to go for us. Now we're going to measure our top so we can see what we need to cut there. Notice that our top is going to be a different length than our bottom due to this pop out that we have here, hence the need for a different measurement. Okay, so now that we have our baseboards off the wall and we've got everything cut, before you're actually able to put your new boards back, you're going to want to make sure to take all of these little brad nails that the builder put in to attach the baseboard and snip them off. And then once you snip them off, you're probably going to want to tap them in a little bit with the hammer. That way our new boards can lay flush with the drywall. Okay, so now that we've finished taking off all of our brad nails and hammering them in so that our wall can be flush and our new boards are going to sit flush against our wall, we're going to take our nail gun with 1.25 inch brad nails in it, and we're going to put our boards onto the wall. Okay, now that we got our top and our bottom pieces in, we're going to start measuring so we can do all of our slats in the middle. Okay, so now that we have our first board up in the corner, I'm going to measure the distance that I want in between. Ours just so happens to be 18.25 inches, so I'm going to measure that distance. Then I'm going to see how tall I need to make it, because remember, walls aren't perfectly square, so you're going to want to remeasure each time that you need to cut one of these slats that are going up. And then I'm going to remeasure that, and we're going to cut it, and then we're going to put it up here at that 18.25 distance away from the first one. Okay, so now we got our second piece cut, and when we go to put this one up, we're going to make sure to use our level to make sure that it's perfectly square. We're not going to base all of our measurements off that first piece, we're just using the bottom reference point, and then we'll use the level to make sure that it's perfectly straight. So at this point, you should have all of your slats up on the wall and everything should have a nice gap on it. Nice and uniform from top to bottom. Everyone's walls are going to be a little bit different, so your gaps might be better and they might be worse. Now what we're going to want to do is go around and fill all the spots where we used our brad nailer with a little bit of all-purpose wood filler. This is what I'm going to be using. And then for all the gaps that you see around here, I'm going to go through and I'm going to use caulking so that there's nothing once we paint it. So it'll just look like it's a smooth finish, and this is the type of caulking I'm going to be using. And once we do our wood filler, we'll come back with a little bit of sandpaper and we'll sand it down so that it's perfectly smooth and you'll never know that we've had a nail go through it. Okay, so we got all of our caulking done. It's had plenty of time to dry. What I'm gonna do now is start my bottom caulking down there. We bought a special caulk that's meant to match the grout color. So we bought that special grout that matches our tile. I already vacuumed up the room, so everything's clean down there. You wanna make sure you have a good surface for your caulk to stick to. And then we are going to wipe it down with a wet towel right now, and then we'll get to caulking the bottom. All right, so now we grouted that bottom. If you have any mess as you're grouting or you put a little bit too much on the seam, just get a wet paper towel or a wet towel in general and wipe it up. The grout, with water comes off pretty easily. So you can see it ended up coming out pretty clean. Now my next step is to go to all of my wood filler that we put in over all of our brad nails. We're gonna sand it down. I'm just gonna use some 150 grit sandpaper. The wood filler likes to sand pretty easily, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Alright, so the grout that we put down at the bottom, that silicone grout that I showed you guys has dried. So now we're at our final step and we're going to get ready to paint. We already wiped down the wall, got it all cleaned up, made sure it wasn't dusty or anything, so you want to make sure to do that. Otherwise your paint's not going to have a good surface to stick to. So now I'm just going to tape up anything that I don't want my new paint to get on. It is the same color as the wall and the surrounding walls, but we did it in a different finish, so it's going to look slightly different. So we're just going to want to tape off anything that we don't want it on. So now I'm going to put our outlet cover back on, and then we'll put our doorstop, and then I'll take a video and show you guys what it looks like completely finished. But after that, we are set and done with this project. Alright, so I have my picture that I took when we first started this project to see where my doorstop goes. Ours was 34.5 in, so I'm going to make a line right there as a reference. And then it was, let's see, about an inch and a half up. So we're gonna make a line 1.5 inches up, and that's where we're gonna stick this. Pretty simple, it's just a Phillips head screw with this little base plate. And you should be able to screw right into the wood that we put on the wall. Because remember, in the first place, this was just screwed into the baseboard. It wasn't in anything else. And then these, they just swirl on there. Kind of show you. You can find the hole in the bottom lined up with that little one that's poking out. And there you go. All right, and here's the finished product. So this project's wrapped up. I think it came out really good. Total costs were roughly around $100, depending on what materials you guys do or don't have already. So I think this is a really cool project that anyone can do at home by themselves. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we're going to be coming out with new videos.